I will call to order the Greenwood Redevelopment Commission on this, the 11th day of May of 2021. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Campbell?
Here.
Mr. Harris?
Present.
Mr. Hopper?
Here.
Mr. Hoover?
Here.
Mr. Moe?
Here.
On voting advisor, Mr. Alexander? Mr. Scott iPhone, is that you?
Thought I saw him on there earlier.
Present.
There we go. All right, we have a quorum. Do we need to note that we have 2 members meeting virtually and 3 in person?
Yes.
Probably. All right, there are 3 of us here in person. Is there a motion to approve our minutes from our April 13th meeting?
I'll motion that.
Second by Mr. Harris, second by Mr. Hoover. Any discussion, corrections, deletions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Harris?
Present.
Here. Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Hopper?
Aye.
Mr. Hoover?
Aye.
Mr. Moe?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
All right, I guess I should note that any votes we take when we have a member who is not here will be by roll call, so that we know what everyone is doing pursuant to the new law that was passed, I don't know, last week at some point, apparently. So just so everybody knows. Okay. New business, riverfront application for the Cooler Center, 944 Parkway Road. Mr. Todd Anthony is here. And the floor is yours, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, thanks for having me here. My name's Todd Anthony, I am the owner of the Erie Cooler Conference Center at 944 Parkway Road. Here to seek approval for a riverfront liquor license. We have to answer any questions at all about that.
I think most of us are familiar with the Cooler Center. Most of us have probably been in there at some point already too, so. Any questions from any members of the commission?
Just a process question. So this is, did the council approve first, or does the council approve after we approve, or how does that?
I don't remember.
It's actually the Redevelopment Commission
Yeah,
is the one that reviews and approves it, and then asks the mayor to then provide a recommendation to the state.
Gotcha.
And
ABC or whatever.
yeah, state is and I'm prepared to provide my normal explanation, and I'll do it now. Sounds like a good time. The commission has the duty to review the application, determine whether the proposed project would provide an economic benefit to the riverfront district, and recommend whether the project site should be considered eligible to be a permit premises in accordance with IC 7.1-3-20-16D. Any motion to approve the application should also recommend that the project site be considered eligible to be a permit premises per that same statute, and direct the mayor to communicate the approved recommendation to the Alcohol Beverage Commission.
Okay. And I will note that the Cooler Center actually sits on the river, such as it is, right? I'm pretty sure. I think the creek runs right through the property, doesn't it? So, yeah.
The water,
Yep. All right.
You prepared for a motion?
I am. I will entertain motions.
I'll move that we approve the application, basis that it provides an economic benefit to the city, and that the site is eligible to be a permit premises, and that we recommend forwarding this to the mayor with that eligibility recommendation, that he forward that to the Alcoholic Beverage Commission.
I'll second that.
Sure, sir.
And as a clarification,
I knew I couldn't get that.
can we say that the economic benefit will be also to the riverfront district?
Yes. I will.
All right. You second that as well, Mr.
Second
Harris?
that,
Okay. All right. Any further questions, discussion from commission members? All right, hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Hopper.
Aye.
Mr. Hoover.
Aye.
Mr. Moan.
Aye.
Mr. Campbell.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye. It's approved 5-0. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good luck.
All right. Ratify use agreement for 24/7 West Pearl Street.
Main Street.
Well, it's Pearl
No,
Street.
it's Pearl.
It is.
Yeah, it is
Okay.
Pearl Street.
Typo.
So this is the property that the Redevelopment Commission purchased as part of a group of properties that's adjacent to the parking lot that the city owns, right off Pearl Street, behind all the buildings on Main Street, like behind Bardock Trophy. We could park there and go to the Hoosier Brewing or some of the other Jason West place there, or some of the others. And this house is right next. That house was right next to it. It's now a gravel lot. It was demolished. And the goal of transferring it to the Board of Works is so that they can, as Mr. Hoover knows, they have pretty long agendas. They can handle use agendas and or use agreements and people who want to use it and setting policy for that. It's gravel right now. Eventually might become a more formal parking lot. But that is the correct. You're doing it just as data maker, right? Not the actual use agreement first.
No, they do need to ratify.
Yeah, we're gonna do both.
So is that included with this one or just, I guess, yeah, this is B, sorry, I see B and C. Okay, so actually for the ratifying the use agreement, that would be for Hoosier Brewing to have some farmer's market or market stands on that lot and the adjacent lot on, what day was it?
It was Sunday, May 2nd, and then we're asking for them for June, the first Sunday in June, just to make sure the transition is recorded and on the record.
So that's what she said, and they're trying to just give more folks in the community the opportunity to kind of participate in the walkability neighborhood, as well as maybe they'll have a beverage from their place while they're there. So something we were willing to give a try. It's been through the deputy mayor's office, and hopefully it can be a good cultural experience for the city.
So does anybody know, did they have one this past Sunday?
I'm here, guys. We did not. So we're going to hold off until June. The submission was sent in late to you guys, so we're just going to push it into June if everything goes well. I'm still working with Molly on the fine details.
Thank you, sir.
I look forward to the finance office.
Any further questions from anybody? All right, is there a motion to approve the use agreement?
I'll motion.
Motion by Mr. Harris, second.
I'll second that.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hoover. Sorry, I beat you to it, Mr. Moon.
It's okay. Thank you.
We'll get you for the next one. Any discussion from commission members? Seeing and hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Hoover.
Aye.
Mr. Moan.
Aye.
Mr. Campbell.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Hopper.
Aye. Motion 5-0. All right, resolution 2021-10, transfer of property 24/7 West Pearl Street to the Board of Public Works and Safety.
Yeah, this is what I mentioned earlier, switching it over to the Board of Works. They control the property, the parking lot immediately abutting this one, and it'll allow for our congruent administration of this going forward.
Any questions, Kevin? Hearing none, is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Mr. Campbell. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion from commission members? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Moan.
Aye.
Mr. Campbell.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Hopper.
Aye.
Mr. Hoover.
Aye.
Thank you.
Resolution 2021-10 is approved 5-0. Old business, none. Capital project report, I-65 County Line Road.
So this is a kind of cleanup resolution, something that happened I was glad to see you all personally, by the way, but right as we were kind of closing things down, We rebid a stormwater pipe that would go across the property that this board purchased up at 65 County Line Road. It came back a little bit higher than we thought, and we decided at that point, with the uncertainty that it wasn't prudent to award a bid, and Strand did all the bidding services for that proposed pipe. So that was a total of, as Amanda put so graciously at the top there, $5,521.40. This ratifies that and allows them to be paid for that pipe that was going to go from the east side of our property up there to the pond, but decided it wasn't the best time to do it.
Sorry, what was the dollar amount you just said, Kevin?
$5,521.
Okay.
The number in the.
Yeah, $5,221.40 is what I have on this.
5,200, or sorry,
22140 is what I
you know
got.
which one it is, and the top one's 5,521 or more.
This one says Fourth Amendment to PSA.
Oh, let's go with the one in the text. Then.
Yeah, one in the text.
5221.
Oh.
Amanda has issues with numbers.
It's okay.
It's good to find out.
It's hard when they're all fives and twos. You shouldn't be allowed to choose a single and fly.
Okay, so $5,221.40 it is though.
I'll move that we approve the Fourth Amendment to the PSA.
I'll second Mr. Hoover, second by Mr. Harris. Any further discussion with the commission members? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Hopper,
Aye.
Mr. Hoover,
Aye.
Mr. Moan.
Aye.
Motion is approved 5-0. Cutting Road right-of-way services.
Yeah, so for the introduction to this is the start of kind of will be a longer term project that I know Hopper spends a lot of time on the southwest side of the city, but to improve that connector between Honey Creek and essentially the rest of Greenwood over at Aber Road. And this will be providing all of the descriptions and right-of-way property lines and route surveys for 20 plus parcels along Cutzinger Road, so that we can start to move forward with getting the property to eventually make that a more functioning corridor. And the total on that is right in front of me, Sam, sorry. It's $109,875 to be paid out of Southwest TIF.
Does this fall under the 2-meeting rule?
It was introduced at your last meeting, sir, so yeah, I did it. So there's no rush on this. This will be a project we'll work on over time and much needed.
Yeah, I agree.
What's that amount? I didn't see that in the document.
It's almost down here at the bottom.
Yeah, it's section B under
B.
services provided. So there's a lot they're doing there, a bunch of engineering terms.
Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is that you, Mr. Campbell? Or is that Mr. Moan? Mr. Campbell, okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Harris. Thank you, sir. Any further questions for Kevin or discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Hoover,
Aye.
Mr. Hopper.
Aye.
Mr. Hoover,
Aye.
Mr. Moan,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell.
Aye.
Thank you.
Was the first Hoover a Hooper? It was kind of a combination of the two of us, was it?
The vote was 6-0.
Yeah, 6-0, yep. All right. I believe it passed 5-0 since there's only 5 of us, so. All right, Oak Hill Trail for the Parks Department.
Yeah, so I'm going to present on that. And again, this is one to bring your memory back pre-COVID, which I know can be difficult.
Kevin, I think I saw Rob Taggart online if you want him to actually hear
We
his
don't
speak.
allow him
Oh, okay.
to, we don't allow him to speak, and we hear for questions. But
Okay.
normally, he's not allowed to do prepared remarks. But he will be here for all questions. Yeah. we're rolling. Folk Hill Trail, which is also known as the Art Trail. I'm going to go past the actual furniture and show you a map here. It loops around Main Street, down around Val Vista and Smith Valley, over towards Our Lady of Greenwood and Meridian and ultimately Madison. Part of a multi-year effort by the Parks Department and the Redevelopment Commission to improve this, what is probably the most walked pedestrian trail we have. Parks Department repaved, milled down and rebuilt a large section of it, I believe 2 years ago. The Redevelopment Commission paid for improved signage and also a crossing. Oh, you can't quite see it. It's basically behind Greg there on the screen, but between Val Vista Arms and the apartment complex across the street to the east, we put in decorative lights there and a flashing pedestrian beacon because people from the apartment complexes can come over to the art trail. And so one of the additional steps of that is to remove or upgrade kind of the improvised site furnishings. So they're kind of, the ones that remain are kind of wooden trash containers and wooden benches. We moved to standardized kind of black metal benches and metal litter receptacles all along this route where all the red dots are. Let me see if I can move that over a bit. It's mad at me, but all along the red dots along the locations. And Rob, you remember how many locations there were? 9?
Nine locations.
There it is, Mr. Hopper.
There you go.
And so that is all I have on that. And
Is there just one up on Main Street?
I think there is just one left on Main Street, right, Rob? The rest?
There is at this time. At this time, there's just one, yes, existing.
The condos at Val Vista. Okay.
Yeah.
So each dot is getting a bench and a trash receptacle, is that what's happening?
Yes.
Yes. Which all of them have currently, correct, Rob?
Yes.
So, yeah, it's kind of, what do you say, they're 20 years old?
There may possibly be older than that.
So the total on this would be a purchase from the central TIF, about $24,411. And would replace all these and would really kind of, on that section, bring us up to a pretty comprehensive system along that. If you remember, the RDC has also helped with the art program. I believe we purchased one of them. It's outside the front of this building, and we also purchased the Strider, the big tall guy that walks. This is how my daughter views it at 6. So long kind of partnership between us and Mr. Taggart.
How long do we expect these benches and trash receptacles to last?
I'll defer to Rob.
I only ask this, I mean, even if you just divide by 10, that's $2,400 for a bench and a trash can per spot, so.
Yeah, we got well over 20 years on wooden benches and a wooden trash receptacle that's currently out there. I would anticipate with powder coated metal that we're proposing, we're going to see anywhere from a lifespan between 25 to 30 years easily.
All right. So that makes it worth it then. Cool. All right, thank you.
Were those current wooden covered receptacles some sort of a Boy Scout project?
They certainly were, and I tried to do some research on that specific Eagle Scout who did that. I couldn't find what I needed, Mr. Campbell. I don't know who did it specifically.
Yeah, I thought that's what I remember was it was an Eagle Scout project. So
yeah,
but they've lasted a long time.
they have, and just as a caveat, just so you guys know as well, those benches they do have a dedicated bronze casting on each one of those benches. We don't at all want to get rid of those. So what we're going to do is each bench and trash receptacle, we're going to surface mount on a new concrete pad. And then the bronze castings are going to be set in place. So we're still not going to use that. We're not going to lose that acknowledgement of that partner from 25 years ago.
Good.
Thanks, Rob.
So the plates are going to, acknowledgement plates are going to go on the cement pad, right?
Probably yes, on center below just beneath the bench.
There's one in the amphitheater, right, Rob, for Gene
Yeah.
Mitt. That was added too, if you want to see an example. That way they're not actually on the bench, they're actually in the surface. And
Yeah, it's a pretty good, it's a good look.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Keep us moving here. All right. Any further discussion from the commission members? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Hopper,
Aye.
Mr. Hoover,
Aye.
Mr. Moon.
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Thank you.
thanks, Jim.
Motion is approved by
Thanks,
zero.
Kevin.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Kevin. Financial report, monthly financial reports.
Yes, Mr. Hopper, it's Adam. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, great. Let me share my screen here.
We cannot see you as we normally can, but we can hear you.
And then how about, can you see my screen now?
We can, yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So the first item on your agenda is just your normal monthly financial report. Happy to go through it just quickly here and then answer any questions. So year to date through April was the period for this report. Probably the most notable item is, we're still waiting on the spring tax settlements to be distributed next month for us to really have a first good look at the taxes that will be collected, and therefore first amount of tax increment financial revenue that will come in against our forecast. So the funds have been remitting interest, various different types of miscellaneous and reimbursement revenues, all fairly de minimis relative to the TIF revenue, though. Debt service you can see listed there, and really the big item is, all of the just normal kind of expenditures approved through the docket have been approved year to date. And then as far as fund balances outstanding, you can see those at the bottom of the page. So this is everything that had been settled and paid and closed as of the end of April. So this does not include your current docket. And then the rest of the report just looks at the visualizations of year-to-date revenues and expenses. Again, a lot of this is disbursements at this point, just because primarily the revenues come in June and December. As far as the small general fund redevelopment commission department budget, it's looking quite good as well. Year to date through the first 4 months, it's only really expended $4,900 against a total authorized budget of about $37,000. So quite a bit more remaining there. And really the largest items of note there are pretty small with regards to, there's some little office supplies, official bonds, small professional services account, and then the per diems. And then lastly, we added this a few months back. This is just a breakdown of the total funds on hand. The majority of those are committed for various purposes, either bond proceeds or debt service reserve funds, as well as there's certain economic developer agreements that are essentially withheld from cash as well, or committed from cash, that are expected to be paid as those requirements are met. So the available funds by TIF area is what I would point you to as far as really funds that are available for current projects, and then any additional TIF revenue would be added to that throughout the year. And then lastly, the report ends with your current captured assessed value. So happy to take any questions on this, but this is something you all routinely seen, but just happy to pause here and ask if you have any questions before we move over to the next item.
Anybody have any questions?
Okay. All right, very good. And then so, yep, so moving to your next item, B, so the 2021 annual excess AV determination. This is an annual reporting requirement of the state that each redevelopment commission in the state of Indiana has to follow. Been a longstanding process here. It's really a notification that's due by June 15th to all of the sometimes referred to as overlapping taxing districts, or sometimes referred to as contributing districts within the various different boundaries of the allocation areas. So these are both the city, the various different school corporations, libraries, county, special districts, et cetera. This first memo really just outlines the reporting requirement. And a couple of years back, I think it was in 2014, actually, there was an amendment to this through legislation that added this 200% clause. So essentially, it's looking at next year's anticipated assessed values and then the tax revenues, or in this case, the TIF revenues coming from those, and essentially looking at a calculation of is there excess monies available that could be released. And for the last several years, the working definition that has been used as a policy here to be consistent is looking at future debt service obligations, as well as planned capital projects or commitments that are outstanding that TIF revenue would otherwise need to go to. So it's really kind of an overview of the reporting requirement. The next item is the actual work schedules to calculate this in preparation of you all making a determination. Each of the various different allocation areas have multiple different districts. Each of those have different values going into next year as well. So won't get too much into the weeds here, but really the takeaway from this first page is that we're using an estimated, sometimes referred to as a weighted average rate for each of the allocation areas as a pro forma or projection tool for pay 2022. And then the final pages of this go through each of the TIF areas. So let me try to make this a little less like an annual eye exam here. So the first we have is the Airport Parkway allocation area. You can see its current 2021 captured AV. We use the weighted average rates to create their anticipated 2022 tax increment. This is somewhat conservative. You know, we haven't worked through the county yet to get a feel for what the pay 2022 values will be yet. So we're just kind of holding the 2021 values constant, as well as the rate. And then here you can see the gross amount, any commitments, and then the coverage calculation as defined by, again, the debt service and the project needs. So Airport Parkway is below the 200% requirement on that one. Moving forward to I-65, same calculation. This one came in at about 72%. So again, under. Looking at the Fry Road US 31 TIF, its assessed value is actually down slightly year over year relative to some actual commercial appeals and some activity within the TIF that I'm happy to discuss offline with any of you. Ultimately, when we look at the various different obligations next year and then the actual commitments that are planned in that area, it's at just over 30%. East Side allocation area, which is by and large the largest area, both in captured dollars as well as debt service and outstanding projects. So it's anticipated to have approximately $8.8 million in tax increment revenue, has just under $6.5 million in revenue bonds that it needs to service, but approximately $2.36 million in available TIF surplus for current pay-as-you-go projects. According to the most recent Greenwood Capital Improvement Plan. Here are the various different projects that are slated to be funded by the Eastside TIF over the next 18 months. And when we look at those in aggregate, it's obviously well in excess of even the funding available, so well below the 200%. And then lastly, looking at the central and southwest allocation, central expansion worked out to be around 79%. Southwest was at 125%. And then lastly, the Worsfield Road TIF, which is still actually ramping up. It's anticipated to have about $448,000 in tax increment revenue. It has actually an existing reimbursement obligation back to the Eastside TIF. So again, it's well below its commitments as well. So as far as the really the action that the commission takes each year, we just ask for a motion to make a determination on whether or not there is excess assessed value to be released. The past practice of the commission has been determination made is that no excess value has been made. With regards to the way this is written within the new statute, any amount of assessed value that's captured that would be in excess of that 200% would require an escalation to Common Council for review. Those calculations show that all the TIF districts are at or below, in some cases significantly below that 200% threshold. Therefore, it's my opinion that you all would have the ability to make that determination at your own board and body. So at this time, we just would ask any questions. Otherwise, would like to let you all discuss that process and make a recommendation to myself and staff to move forward. As far as what the next steps would look like, assuming that you would make a determination there's no excess assessed value, then we would proceed with sending a letter such as this out to the various different taxing units. We have mailing lists for all the points of contacts on the fiscal bodies for these groups. And essentially the letter, it's a form letter that really just notifies them. It's consistent year over year. And this is actually sent on behalf of the city's finance department. So that would be prepared for mailing. Otherwise, if you make the determination that you want to release a portion of your assessed value, I would just need to know which TIF and how much, and we would notify them accordingly, as well as we would likely need to do fiscal impacts on that as well. So with that said, I'll open it up for questions and look to hear how you'd like us to move forward. Thank you.
I've got one question, Mr. President.
Okay, I do too.
Okay, you want to go first?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
We may have the same question.
Yeah, that's right. So Adam, on page 3 of what you're calling the annual determination of excess assessed value, 2021 pay, 2022 estimated tax rate. So on page 3 of that document, I'm looking at your estimated bond coverage ratio is 103%. Is that, I'm assuming we have some sort of a covenant where that needs to be higher, but that this is just your estimate?
Yeah, it's just an estimate. We are monitoring that TIF, as you know. So we will take that as an item. I don't know offhand of any triggering events there, but certainly we will look into that and are monitoring that. Keep in mind that's also a pro forma number. So it's a projection into next year, full year. So at this time, that's not the current year coverage, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, I got you there. Okay, that was the only question I had. Thank you.
You're welcome.
My question, Adam, had to do with the southwest allocation area. If memory serves, we just committed 109,000 or so, right, to the Cutzinger Road. Is that included on here?
Good question.
That was from the southwest allocation area, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
Yep. And it No, that is not included. So that would, to put that in context for what that would do, that would actually even lower the calculation bill. So yeah, good catch.
Okay. Yeah, because that really is the only one that kind of jumps out at, it's triple digits there for coverage, so that would bring it down. That was my only question. I guess the other question I had, just thinking the other day, we've been hearing a lot lately, state revenue projections have been coming in a lot better in recent months. Is there any correlation or anything we can glean from that? I know it's a lot of different mixes of revenue and not simply property taxes like we get, so.
Yeah, I don't, from my perspective, I think it's too early to tell. Unfortunately, with regards to how the assessment cycle and the pay cycle is, we won't really have a full, we have a good estimate for what we think is going to be obviously levied and billed. Where we still have a little bit of risk is just on collections and timing of that. We're also monitoring any type of appeal activity from last year's closures as well still. So while certainly some of the food and beverage and some of the income, local income tax numbers have come in maybe higher than expectations, we're still waiting to see how the property tax payments, specifically on the commercial and industrial side, come in. At least that's from my perspective. I know, Greg, you're on as well. I don't know if you have any additional context you'd like to add there.
No, you're right on. We really don't have an idea yet on collections, and we won't until that first payment comes in from the county.
Thanks. Any specific language you would like us to use, Mr. Watson, to find there is no excess?
I would suggest that you approve the memo dated May 11 that had prepared, and as your determination, and authorize the distribution of the notice to the taxing units.
Is there a motion to that extent?
So moved.
I'll second motion by Mr. Rose, second by Mr. Harris. Any questions, concerns, comments from commission members? Seeing and hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Hoover,
Aye.
Mr. Moan,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Hopper.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion is approved 5-0. Department reports from the legal department. Mr. Hodson.
Nothing from legal, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Watson.
Nothing from Mr. Watson.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Wright.
Nothing from me.
Thank you, sir. And grinding to a halt, Mr. Johnston.
Ouch. Yes. Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. Yeah, I have 3 items, and I apologize that I'm not there in person. I was had a school drop off at the same time. So moving on to my first item, speaking of schools. So for the city's school zone flasher and pedestrian signal project, the update now is that we have selected a firm to perform the construction inspection services for us. We posted the RFP through NDOT back in January. We actually received 6 letters of interest from firms. We did our normal scoring and selection process, and the selected firm was the Etica Group, and that's we've been back and forth on their scope and fee, and so that's what they are. They have provided to us $49,350 for their construction inspection services for this project, and so that's my requested action, that the commission approved the award to Etica Group. Apologize for that. The commission approved the award to Etica Group for construction inspection services on this project.
All right, any questions for Daniel? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Well, I heard Mr. Harris first, so I'm gonna give it to him and give Mr. Campbell a second. It's hard to hear when we're.
All right.
all saying stop.
Be that way.
Yep, he beat you to it again, Mr. Moan. All right, any
Okay.
further discussion from commission members? Hearing none, roll call.
Mr. Moon,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Hopper,
Aye.
Mr. Hoover.
Aye.
Thank
All right, motion is approved 5-0.
All right, thank you. For my second item, this is for the Graham Road and Keaton Way traffic signal project. Just a real quick update, the utilities, the main holdup recently has been the utility companies just coordinating their relocation of their facilities. That was completed in the February-March timeframe. Our contractor, Midwestern Electric, has been scheduling their crews in and around some of their other projects they had, and they've been looking to start middle of May, late May, through the end of July is what the commission extended their contract to at a meeting last fall. So today, this is a consideration of an additional cost increase. They contacted us and told us that the cost increases that the commission approved last fall were mostly or only associated due to the various utility delays, increases in labor, increases in materials, that kind of thing. This cost increase today is associated with the various quantity increases that the project has had in the life as we've tried to make adjustments and accommodations. You may recall at this intersection, there's a residence on the east side of Graham Road. So the traffic signal is going to incorporate that residential driveway so that those residences minimize the impacts to them, that kind of thing. So the additional increase is there $9,781.94. This brings the construction contract amount to the new total there, $171,948.82. We just got this additional increase price quote yesterday. So we don't have any, pending your approval, we don't have any documents to sign. So the action requested is for the commission to approve a contract amendment for a cost increase for this project and authorize city staff to actually prepare those amendment documents, like I said, since we just got the quotes yesterday.
Is there a motion? That's not mine. You're gonna say something. Yeah.
Pick up, Steve.
We're waiting on you, Mr. Moen. You're muted. It's your time to shine.
I'll make that motion.
Yes, excellent, sir. Is there a second? All right, Mr. Campbell's asleep. Oh, thank you, sir. Motion by second by Mr. Campbell. All right, any further questions for Daniel? All right, hearing none, roll call.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Hopper,
Aye.
Mr. Hoover,
Aye.
Mr. Moon.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion is approved 5-0.
All right, thank you for that. And I do have one walk-on.
Sorry, hold on, Daniel.
Oh, sorry.
Related issue, you may remember that we had an agreement with a developer related to cost sharing on that traffic signal. And Daniel, I don't know if you've got some thoughts on this, but a question could be asked whether any of this additional increase of $9,781 should be requested to be reimbursed by the developer. I would note that the developer was advised last fall of what the final expected contract amount was going to be. There was an overage, and they were asked to provide the overage amount so that we can move forward with that. They did. That was in the amount of about $66,000. And that was on top of what they had already paid for engineering, which was about $21,000. And they had previously paid a deposit of $26,000, rounding those numbers. So if I add up correctly, they have thus far paid approximately $110,000 towards this project. Total cost of the project, when we add in the almost $10,000, looks to be about $251,000. Daniel, am I in the right ballpark on those numbers? Does that all sound right to you?
That's probably pretty close if you're right. The additional utility relocation costs that the developer paid and their engineering design fees that they paid, that might be about right, yes.
Okay, so just wanted to present that to you, see if there's anything you wanted to do in terms of making additional requests for funds from the developer, if you want to think about that and address that later. It's your pleasure.
Do we have a written agreement, or was this a gentleman's agreement?
We have a written agreement.
Oh, okay.
Daniel, do you have any thoughts on that question or that issue?
Sure. My recommendation actually would send, based on the fact that the developer did pay, I think willingly, all of the utility relocation costs. That of that 66,000, I think it may have been in the 45, 46 range. I might be mistaken on that. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I apologize. But they willingly paid that, and balanced with kind of the time sensitivities and the interest of giving Midwestern Electric the green light to proceed on the project. And noting that also that in the original contract approval, construction contract approval that the RTC approved, it was up to a cap of 175,000. So that still falls, this new contract amount falls within that ceiling. So I would actually recommend that this would be covered through the city's funding sources, and I guess to get the contractor moving forward as soon as possible, not seek the cost sharing from the developer.
And I would add, under the contract, if we are to agree to any change order that would increase the price, we would have to get their consent before they would be obligated to pay on that. So that's consistent with what Daniel is stating, I believe.
Well, I guess I would think that given the minimum amount compared to the contract or the project amount, that we not pursue reimbursement from Midwestern.
I can agree with that. You don't need a motion or anything to that effect, do we? Just let the record show that, or do you want something? We'll roll call vote on that.
I don't need it. If there's consensus, I would like it on the record, though.
Sure.
In some fashion. We haven't heard from the other two.
Mr. Moen, Mr. Campbell, are you in agreement with that?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that.
Yes.
Okay. There you go. Amanda, if you would just reflect that consensus on the record.
Will do.
Thank you.
All right, you have a number 3, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, so this is for Worsville Road, Section 2. This is the segment between Honey Creek Road and Averett, still in design or about to transition into construction, and its letting date is in July. This is a consideration of a reimbursement agreement. All the utility companies have their notice to proceed on their relocations, and our consultants are working with them on getting that accomplished. One of the utilities, BP Pipeline, they have given us a reimbursable agreement for some of their work. They are in easements, so they do have property interests along the route, Worsville Road. They have an existing 12-inch pipeline that crosses in 3 locations, and as it turns out, this pipeline is is not being used. It is actually empty, but BP may decide that they want to use it in the future. But for now, the work plan involves them moving, cutting, and hauling off 3 segments at these crossing locations. And the estimate that they've provided to us, they're $82,685. That's the amount that the city would reimburse BP Pipelines. I think on the next slide, I do have a map showing the different locations. There you go. So in red is generally the alignment of the Worsville Road Section 2 project, the full limits, and the 3 areas in yellow roughly represent the lengths of this 12-inch gas pipeline that would be removed as part of the project.
Yeah, I was hoping to never have to hear about the BP pipeline ever again. I think it cost us like 8 months on the Worsville Road thing, didn't it?
Yes,
on the other
it's
side anyway, east of 31. So it's reared its ugly head again, huh?
That's correct. So my request would be that the commission approve the funding for the reimbursement to BP Pipelines for their relocation removal work on the Worsville Road Section 2 project. The agreement itself, I'll actually have to take to the Board of Works for their approval and signature.
I'm sorry, what was that last statement?
The actual agreement will come before the Board of Works.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Correct. Yes.
We're just paying for it. So are they actually going to do it in a timely manner, or is this something they're going to fight us on like they have in the past? You know?
No, we've been working with them, communicating with them for the various for this agreement, and then some, also associated with their easement. So I'm thinking that it should go fairly quick.
Okay. All right. Any more questions for Dana? Is there a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Hoover. Roll call, please.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Hopper,
Aye.
Mr. Hoover,
Aye.
Mr. Moan,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, motion is approved 5-0.
Alrighty.
Anything from the mayor? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Don't think the mayor had anything. Not that he said, anyway. Claims docket, let's see what we have. All right, claims docket is for $219,873.93. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Hoover, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Harris. Any questions? Discussion from commission members? All right, hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Hopper,
Aye.
Mr. Hoover,
Aye.
Mr. Moan,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
All right. Claims docket is approved 5-0. Got an email earlier. Somebody wants to present on another liquor permit for the Riverfront District. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Brian.
Mentrup, is that how you pronounce your last name, sir?
Yep, that is correct.
All right, the floor is yours.
So, Mr. President,
Yes.
I'm going to recuse myself as
Oh, yes, sir.
as provide legal services for Mr. Trip in the past.
Go ahead, floor is
Yeah, we'll
yours,
try
sir.
All right, I'll give you a quick overview because I know your time is valuable. So the old columns building, the photo that you see here is what we're shooting for on the upstairs portion. So it'll be primarily a music venue, but we want to open it up for just a general facility for events as well. And the title of the event center is going to be called The Release. And so we're requesting one of the riverfront permits in order to be able to sell our beer, liquor, etc. And if you guys have been in the building or if it's been a while, there's a current kitchen in the main level that is still usable. It's way outdated. And the front portion of that, which I did submit a quick floor plan, a sketch that it'll encompass the ability for us to host or seat guests for both food and beverage as well. And we'll have a small bar in there as well. And so some other details that we're going to have to figure out would be if we're definitely going to have under 21. That's the goal as of right now. We have space. So as long as we get the ATC to approve that, I'm anticipating that we'll also have the ability for people under 21 to come downstairs, grab a bite. And the benefit of that is when we have events upstairs, they can travel back and forth. We won't have a restroom issue. So overall, the scope of the project, we're looking at midsummer to do a light opening after we are cleaning, painting, putting new flooring down. So there's no major remodeling. We're using the space as it is for that event space. And big picture is that we're basically continuing our operation next door. We're getting a lot of requests for large events. And so we're keeping it under the same entity. The DBA or the music venue will be known as the Release, but in essence, they're the same business, or it's the same business as Hoosier Brewing Company with the addition of a large event center. I don't know if that's a good enough overview. If you guys have any questions.
Questions? I understand legal is still interested in some more information on your application, so we're not voting on it.
No.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Okay. It came in. Oh, it came in? I haven't had a chance to look at it. Not that it matters.
So I have a question. Maybe I'm not real clear. So this would be a liquor license, but then you talk about under 21 as well. What, can you explain that to me a little bit better?
Yeah, it'd be a limited separation. So the way that the current ATC Indiana law reads is that if you have a full bar that has food, you must separate the bar with a barrier, and that allows minors to come in. So we're not looking to create this dark, dingy bar scenario. We're looking at creating a family opportunity for folks to bring their kids upstairs and downstairs when available.
Okay, that explains it. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
With the late submission of the material, I've not had a chance to look this over at all. Is there any reason why we can't deal with this at our next meeting?
I'm fine with it, guys. It's going to take a while for us. I know, when's your next meeting? Is it in a couple weeks? Is that correct?
It'd be the first second Tuesday. Yeah, second Tuesday in June.
Okay. I mean, it's obviously I'm at your mercy. The process once it hits ATC is that it's multiple months as well. I don't know if we want to do a midsummer event there or start the process. I know we can pull temporary permits, but the whole objective is to try to get it in as soon as possible in order to be able for ATC's processing to go quicker as well.
So as I'm looking at this picture, I'm down in SharePoint here, where it's got the bathrooms, the office, the kitchen. This is all the downstairs area, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And upstairs is just a gallery, basically. Is that what the upstairs is? I've never been in the building. Sorry.
Yes. It looks very. It's going to look very similar to the photo we've presented that you're looking at right now. Okay. And so the balcony doesn't extend on the sides. I would love in the future for us to do a remodel where we could extend those balconies and make it look just like that. Very warm scenario upstairs.
All right. Any further questions? No, Mr. Campbell would rather not vote. What's everybody else's feeling?
I would just like to digest more.
Okay.
It's just a quick turn, and I just would like to think on it for a minute or two, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no worries.
That's my perspective.
We will vote next time then. You don't have to come back if you don't want, Mr. Nemtra.
Okay,
it's up to you, unless you have more information. So that free up your next month from now, Tuesday.
Okay.
So appreciate you being here, though.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Any other business to come before the commission from anybody out there? Hearing none, we will stand adjourned.
Amanda, while you're here, can I ask you a question?